full story. My gold digger girlfriend cheated on me, so I dumped her. Now my family hates me. So a bit about me, I'm Jake, 28M, and I was in a relationship with Chloe, 26F, for almost 4 years. We met at a mutual friend's party, and she was everything I could have wished for. Beautiful, charming, and always the life of the party. From the start, it felt like we were meant to be. My family adored her. My friends thought she was a great catch, and life seemed perfect. Chloe had this magnetic personality that drew everyone in. She could talk to anyone about anything, and people were naturally drawn to her. I felt incredibly lucky to be with her. We had this whirlwind romance, spontaneous weekend getaways, fancy dinners, and deep late-night conversations. We dreamed about our future together, from buying a house to having kids someday. The first year was pure bliss. We traveled, had amazing dates, and talked about our future together. But slowly, things began to change. Chloe started asking for money here and there. At first, it was small amounts, and she always had a plausible reason. She left her wallet at home or needed to pay an unexpected bill. I didn't think much of it. After all, we were a couple, and couples help each other out. But then it became more frequent. She'd ask for larger sums, and the reasons started sounding fishy. I tried to brush it off, convincing myself that she'd pay me back once she sorted things out. The requests for money began to coincide with her newfound love for luxury items. She'd show up with expensive handbags, designer clothes, and fancy gadgets. When I asked about them, she'd say they were gifts from friends or that she got them on sale. One night, Chloe went out with her girlfriends. I was supposed to join them, but she insisted it was a girls-only night. I didn't mind. I trusted her. But then my buddy Mark sent me a picture. It was Chloe at an upscale bar, but she wasn't with her girlfriends. She was with some guy, and they looked pretty cozy. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I decided to wait until she got home. When she did, I casually asked about her night. She gave me the usual story, but something felt off. She was too cheerful, too eager to change the subject. I started noticing more red flags. She was always texting someone, and she'd get defensive if I asked who it was. Her late nights out became more frequent, and she was spending a lot of money on things I never saw. I decided to do some sleuthing over the next few weeks. I started paying closer attention to her behavior. She was always on her phone, often smiling at messages and quickly hiding her screen when I walked by. Her social media was full of pictures from fancy places I'd never heard of, and she never mentioned these outings to me. One day, while she was in the shower, I decided to check her phone. I know. It was an invasion of privacy, but I needed to know what was going on. What I found shattered me. There were dozens of messages from a guy named Tom. They weren't just flirty, they were explicit. It was clear she was seeing him behind my back. They talked about the nights they spent together, the gifts he gave her, and even plans for future trips. I confronted her that night. I showed her the messages and demanded an explanation. She broke down, admitting she had been seeing Tom for a few months. She claimed he was just a fling, that she loved me and wanted to make things work. But how could I trust her after that? I told her to pack her things and leave. She begged, cried, promised to change, but I was done. She tried to manipulate me, saying that she cheated because she felt neglected, that I wasn't giving her enough attention or affection. It hurt to hear, but I knew it was just another lie. I couldn't stay with someone who betrayed me like that. I had to respect myself enough to let her go. After Chloe left, I thought the worst was over. I was heartbroken, but I knew I made the right decision. Then my family got involved. Chloe went to them, spun a story about how I was neglectful, and drove her into another man's arms. My mom called me, furious. She believed Chloe's lies and accused me of being heartless. My sister took Chloe's side too, saying I should have tried to work things out. Even my dad, who usually stayed out of my relationships, thought I overreacted. It was like I was the villain in my own story. Chloe had managed to turn everyone against me with her lies and manipulation. I tried explaining my side, showing them the messages, but they refused to listen. They were convinced I was the bad guy. They invited Chloe to family events, and I was left out in the cold. It felt like I had lost not just my girlfriend, but my family too. The betrayal cut deep, and I felt more alone than ever. I started seeing a therapist to deal with everything. It helped, but it was still hard. I felt betrayed by everyone I cared about. But then, things took an unexpected turn. My therapist helped me understand that I needed to focus on myself and my own well-being. I started to rebuild my life, one step at a time. One day, I got a message from Tom, the guy Chloe had been seeing. He had found me on social media and wanted to talk. I was skeptical, but curiosity got the better of me. We met up, and he told me his side of the story. He didn't know Chloe was in a serious relationship. She had told him we were on a break and that I was okay with her seeing other people. Tom felt horrible when he found out the truth. He ended things with Chloe and wanted to apologize to me. We ended up talking for hours, and it turned out he was a decent guy who had been duped just like me. We bonded over our shared experience and even became friends. It was strange, but also comforting to have someone who understood. Despite all this, my family still sided with Chloe. It was infuriating. They refused to believe she could do any wrong, but I couldn't keep letting it get to me. I decided to focus on myself and move forward. I started to reconnect with old friends and build a support system outside of my family. Then out of the blue, I reconnected with an old friend, Sarah, 27F. We hadn't seen each other in years, but she reached out after seeing my post on social media. We started hanging out and it was like a breath of fresh air. Sarah was kind, understanding, and supportive. Everything Chloe wasn't. One day, while scrolling through social media, I stumbled upon a post from Chloe. She was engaged to another guy. It had only been a few months since we broke up, and she was already planning a wedding. The guy looked wealthy, and it was clear she was after his money too. I decided to confront my family one last time. I showed them Chloe's engagement post and the messages from Tom. It was undeniable proof that she was a gold digger and a liar. My mom finally broke down. She apologized for not believing me and said she felt guilty for siding with Chloe. My sister and a few other family members also apologized. It was a bittersweet moment. I was glad they finally saw the truth, but the damage had been done. Our relationships were strained, and it would take time to rebuild the trust that had been broken. I've cut off all contact with Chloe. She's blocked on all my social media, and I've moved on. Sarah and I are now dating, and things are going great. She's the complete opposite of Chloe, and I feel lucky to have her in my life. Therapy has continued to be a crucial part of my healing process. I've learned a lot about myself and what I want in a relationship. I've become more self-aware and confident. The experience with Chloe taught me the importance of trust and honesty, and I'm determined to build a strong foundation with Sarah. Just when I thought things were settling down, I received an unexpected call from Chloe. She was crying, saying her fiancé had found out about her past and called off the engagement. She begged me to take her back, promising she had changed. It was tempting to gloat or to feel vindicated, but I realized I had moved on. I told her I wished her well, but that I couldn't take her back. She had made her choices, and I had made mine. I knew I deserved better. Sarah and I are planning a future together. We're taking things slow, but I'm hopeful. My relationship with my family is slowly healing too. They've started to see Sarah as the amazing person she is, and we're rebuilding our trust. To anyone going through something similar, remember to trust your instincts. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're not enough. You deserve someone who loves and respects you for who you are. It's not easy, but it's worth it. As Sarah and I grew closer, I found myself more and more grateful for her presence in my life. She was patient and understanding as I navigated the complexities of rebuilding my relationship with my family. We started going on adventures together, hiking, road trips, even just exploring new coffee shops in our city. Each moment felt like a step towards a brighter future. I began to see my family more often. The initial awkwardness started to fade as we had honest conversations about what had happened. My mom admitted she felt immense guilt for siding with Chloe, and my sister expressed regret for not supporting me. It wasn't an overnight fix, but we were making progress. Sarah and I worked hard on building trust and open communication in our relationship. We made a pact to always be honest with each other, no matter how difficult the conversation might be. This transparency brought us even closer, and I felt a sense of security I had never experienced before. One evening, as we were watching a movie, Sarah turned to me and said, "You know, I'm really proud of you, Jake. You've come so far." Her words hit me hard. I realized just how much I had grown since the ordeal with Chloe. I had learned to stand up for myself, to trust my instincts, and to value my own worth. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs. One day, while out grocery shopping with Sarah, we ran into Chloe. She looked different, tired, almost. She tried to strike up a conversation, but I kept it short and polite. Sarah, sensing the tension, stood by my side, holding my hand firmly. Chloe glanced at Sarah and then back at me, a look of regret flashing across her face. After we walked away, Sarah hugged me tightly. "You did great," she whispered. I realized then that I had truly moved on. Chloe was a part of my past, and I was ready to fully embrace my future with Sarah. Around this time, I got a job offer that required me to move to a new city. It was a fantastic opportunity, but it meant leaving behind everything familiar. Sarah was incredibly supportive, encouraging me to take the leap. We discussed our options and decided that she would move with me. It was a big step, but we were ready for it. The move was challenging. We navigated the hurdles of setting up a new home, finding new friends, and exploring our new city together. It felt like a fresh start, a chance to build something beautiful from the ground up. My family's support became stronger as they saw the positive changes in my life. They visited us in our new city, and we had heartfelt conversations about the past and our hopes for the future. The healing process was ongoing, but it felt like we were finally on the right path. My mom and Sarah bonded over shared interests, and my sister even apologized to Sarah for not standing by me initially. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. We started making new memories together, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of peace. After a year in our new city, I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with Sarah. She had been my rock through everything, and I couldn't imagine my future without her. I planned a special evening, taking her to our favorite spot overlooking the city. As the sun set, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. Tears filled her eyes as she said, yes. It was the happiest moment of my life. We celebrated with our families, who were overjoyed at the news. It felt like a new chapter was beginning, one filled with love, trust, and endless possibilities. Our wedding was a beautiful, intimate affair, surrounded by our closest friends and family. We exchanged vows and promised to love and support each other for the rest of our lives. As I looked into Sarah's eyes, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She had come into my life when I needed her most, and together, we had built something incredible. My family, fully supportive now, played a huge role in our special day. My mom and sister were in tears, not out of sadness, but out of joy for the new beginning we were embarking on. It felt like everything had come full circle. Looking back on everything that happened, I realized how much I've grown. The experience with Chloe was painful, but it taught me valuable lessons about self-worth, trust, and resilience. I'm in a much better place now, with a loving partner and a supportive family. To anyone going through something similar, remember that it gets better. Trust your instincts, stand up for yourself, and don't be afraid to seek help. Surround yourself with people who love and support you. Life has a way of working out, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. Stay strong and never lose hope.